Welcome to Don't Be Caged by Your Age, Tami. I'm so happy you're here to share your insight stories and pro-aging advice with our listeners. How you doing?
Oh, Andy, it is so good to see you again. We were in line at Podfest last January, checking into our hotel. And then it was so magical the way the universe just kept popping us into the same rooms
It
through the
it
whole week. It was so fun.
it
And
was
then,
so delicious. And you listeners, as you continue hearing the conversation, you'll hear and feel and see if you're watching the video how delicious Tami is. And of
oh,
course, I was like, just who are you? I can't get enough of you. And it was my first time at Podfest, and I thought, wow, this is why I came here to meet a woman
oh,
like Tami.
Oh, thank you. And like I said, thank you, universe, for putting us both together. First of
Yay.
all, I am going to be 67 in 3 weeks, I think. I'm one of those that pushes ahead because, well, I guess we will all figure out I was diagnosed with stage 3B ovarian cancer in November of 2020. And I'm pretty sure the doctor that diagnosed me doesn't believe that I'm alive today because I had to leave where I was and come south for treatment. And it didn't look good. It did not look good at all. And so I cherish each and every birthday now like an award that has been given to me to parade around the world with. I am very excited to be 67 next month.
Excellent. Yay, Tammy, you got through that diagnosis. Tell us, what are the results? How are you moving and grooving through life as a result of having that diagnosis?
Well, let's see. It is now 2024. I am still in treatment. I have had over 75 chemo infusions
Oh my
and counting. I'm on my seventh different chemo because they keep saying, well, that one didn't work. Next. Well, that one didn't work. Next. But I guess I decided way back a couple of years ago when it wasn't going away. I thought I'd be that one and done person,
God. Right.
which if you've had cancer and you got the one and done, yay, yay. I'm very happy
Mhm.
for you. But there's some of us who it continues and it
That's
goes
right.
on. And we have a choice. We can either have cancer or we can become cancer. And I have learned that I'm a thriver. I am a cancer thriver. There is such a word as survivor. And a very wise doctor here said to a group one day where I was at an event, you were a survivor the day you were diagnosed. And I loved that because it means that we're just going on. It's okay. Nothing can stop you unless you decide to let it. And sadly, I have watched, because I have worked at a cancer center for 3 years, those that have it thrive, those that become it pass away and leave
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
It's not, it's 98% you up here in your brain and 2% the magic of medicine.
Yeah.
And you
Wow.
have to be able to accept and trust. I trust my doctors with my entire life, and I know that's why I'm here. I let them do that part. I work on me. And it's working. Now, what's tomorrow bring? We don't know. But I have jokingly said to people, I will really be upset if I go through all of this and then get hit by a bus.
I know. It's
Because
like,
I have worked really hard.
well, and I want to thank you for working really hard because you are pure light and joy, and
Oh,
you make everyone's lives better with your presence. You are the gift that keeps on giving. So thank you for doing the hard work to stay with us. And you are absolutely right. It is not over till it's over. And the
That's
world
right.
needs us to show up and be ourselves and bring our glow everywhere we go. And I
Right.
am truly grateful. And we saw that in you way back in the day. Now, listeners, this is just so cool about Tami. And she became a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader in 1977 out of 2,000 applicants and became an American sweetheart. If you've been following
Yes.
the Netflix show and the series and all of that, but it was more than that for you, Tami. There was just something about your light and your love for humanity and everything else that was embodied in your role for cheering and as a
Oh,
Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Talk a little bit about what that was like and how this sisterhood has served you over the years.
oh, there is nothing like our sisterhood. There's nothing like those ladies, girls. We all still think of ourselves as girls. I'm an only child. And so no brothers, no sisters, didn't know how to uh do that sort of thing. And when I became a cheerleader and we all got together, I call it our foxhole because only those who are there know what that means, knows what we go through daily. I have this scenario where I believe that the world, and this is all NFL cheerleaders, the world believes that we're just pixie dust and we form in the tunnel. We come out, we do a pregame, we do a game, we cheer, we get everybody on their feet, and then we go back into the tunnel and go back into pixie dust. But that's not it. We all are human beings. We are very bright, strong women, and we are there for each other through everything. And I am so blessed that I am 45 years into having been a part of that sisterhood and now how it's still so strong. And each and every alumni reunion, the girls will come up to us who started it in the 70s and say, "You're the reason I tried out. You're the reason that I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader." And you have no idea what that does for us because we were the guinea pigs. We were the ones that our choreographer Texie Waterman says, "I see Broadway out on the football field." And she trained us to be bigger, bigger, bigger and entertain and just eh, grab everybody and bring them
Right.
into us.
You used the big word there, train. Your sisters and yourself
We
are,
train.
I think, you are more athletic than the football players. Sorry,
Well,
hands
thank you.
down. You guys have to do things in form. You have to be up in the air with your legs out doing a split all at the same time. I mean, the physicality, the athleticism, the strength, the flexibility that you all bring to every time you grab those pom poms is outstanding and astounding.
Oh,
And
thank
I don't
you.
think people understand. It's not that you're just gorgeous and delightful and upbeat and wonderful. You also are incredible athletes that need to be honored for the time and training like Olympians that you put in
Yeah.
while you're working full time because hello, we all think you're all making bank, right? But you're
No,
not as a cheerleader. It's a you've got
nope.
a full-time job and doing other things, right?
Correct. Yes. Back in the 70s when I cheered, we were paid $15 a game, which came out to $14.12 after taxes. And because that was such a small amount, we would cheer almost the whole season before we got a check because they didn't want to write a bunch of little $14 checks. So we did it basically for free. That
But what was priceless for all of
Oh,
you was
you
what
know,
you gained from the experience, as especially as with the sisterhood and the camaraderie and the connection and community.
well, for instance, when I was diagnosed in November of 2020, I was not ready to make that public. I mean, it was still something I was having to work through. And I have wonderful friends, but I was not ready for, "You go, girl. You've got this. You're
No.
the strongest person I know," because I was none of those things for the first 6 months. I was scared to death. It was in the middle of COVID lockdown. I had to go through everything by myself.
Oh my gosh, Tammy, I am so
Right.
sorry. That like the worst time
I
possible.
was yes, I walked into a hospital in a strange city for my surgery, not knowing a soul, and laid in pre-op hearing code blue isolation, and knowing that people were dying right of the floor above me. And I had this minuscule window of surviving even the surgery. And it so what I did is I reached out to 4 other cheerleaders who I knew would keep my secret and hold me up and say the prayers that I needed, and that was my rock for
Yeah.
6 months. Those cheerleaders. They created strength inside of me that I didn't even know I had.
Mm.
And when I did go public and let everybody know, "Oh, you go, girl. You've got this. You're the strongest." But I was more equipped to say, "Thanks."
Right. And I love two things about what you just shared with us. First of all, again, w- wow. I mean, for you to have to go through that under those circumstances, just horrific, especially at a time we were already scared enough, right?
We were
But
scared.
you did something that's very important, which is that you reached out to a core group of 4 women that you knew who would hold you in the right space, in the right light, and it wouldn't be all about you, glow girl. They were going to be there as to how are you feeling and listening to you and being your rock and sharing the experience with you with empathy, which means listeners that holding someone's hand, you may not have had a diagnosis like this or walked through it, but you have, by being human, been through a really tough and difficult, dark time. And so
Yeah.
you first did that. You asked for that help from 4 people, which is just so great as a woman to do that.
Oh,
But
it's
then you
wonderful to have.
yeah, but you also had the self-awareness to know that you sure as heck couldn't be there for the other people with the, "Oh, you got this." "No, I
No,
don't."
no,
Six
no.
no, and so, again, you protected yourself and took good care of yourself, and that is wonderful representation for so many people to hear and make sure that they carve out a similar pathway of protection and support when they're going through a difficult time. Because you see it, Tammy, people will splash something like that on Facebook,
Oh,
and you know you're going to get the sympathy mongers and the people who are so happy to see you're suffering so that they makes their life look better. That's all negative energy you do not need. And then the toxic positivity, which is you glow girl,
yeah.
that's toxic positivity, folks. Nobody needs that when they're struggling and not ready to hear it. So,
Yeah,
clappers and
we all approach it in a different way, but I know that the one common denominator for a cancer patient is you hear you have cancer and your brain completely rewires and it never goes back to what it was before. It fear, doubt, I don't want to die, who will take care of, da 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 da, floods you. And I was sitting in my truck on a mountain because I lived on an Indian reservation with very spotty internet and no cell service. and my phone pinged on a Monday. I had been driving 75 miles each way to get tested, and I had had a test on a Friday, and Monday morning at 8 my phone pinged, meaning I had a voicemail. So I got in my truck and I drove up a Vista to where I could get service, and it was from my doctor to call him. And so when I did, they said, "Oh, he wants you to have his cell number." That's never good. Never good. And so I'm sitting in my truck overlooking the beautiful Grand Canyon, and I'm told I have cancer, that
Mm.
it's fast growing, extremely aggressive, and I can't do it there. I've got to move. And that's all I heard. I know that he talked to me for at least 20 minutes because that's what my phone told me later, but I
Right.
didn't hear a word of it. And that is the hardest part. And I know we all approach it a different way, but I think if you can just keep it in for just a bit until you're processing again, because you don't process.
No.
There's nothing that you're not processing at all. You're just
Yeah, oh,
all over
yeah,
the place.
and you were, again, alone on that beautiful vista with the
Mhm.
gorgeous view, so once he said the initial opening line, your brain went numb, and that's why, folks, it's always great, if possible, to have someone with you, sometimes 2
Definitely.
someones who can take notes
Oh, exactly.
and
Yes.
hear everything because
I think
that's
that
too
was the
much to take
hardest
in.
part because through none of it could I have anyone take
Mm,
notes.
yeah, I
And I I'm an old lady. I'm used to writing things down. I didn't have a laptop in school. I learned shorthand, but you would go into these meetings prior, and this is what we're going to do for surgery, and this is what we're doing. It all seems like a wheel that's spinning out of control, and you're trying to absorb and comprehend, and you can't. And then somebody else would say, "Well, what did they say?" And you're like, no idea. I think that's where I decided, let go and let God.
right. I mean,
Just trust.
you yeah, you were walking with the divine through this.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
Because yeah, because that was a lot, and listeners, if you walked through a similar time during COVID, please let us know. Leave
Oh,
some notes,
yes.
comments on Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you find us, or certainly leave a message on the website for Tami and let her know with the cancer fist bump. You know what she's gone through and
Oh,
that
thank
you're
you.
there for her.
Yes,
'Cause
I'm very active now in two cancer charities. One is we are called the Bionic Babes, and we are dancers of hope. And we dance at charity events. And the girls love Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras parades, but unfortunately, I'm usually in chemo then. My doctor, it's so great. I'll say, okay, okay, time out. I need a break. And so then I try and work my breaks around times for our charity events. And then I watch Mardi Gras from afar. But it's
yeah.
there's, and to be in a group of other women who have been through this, no matter what kind of cancer it is, to just be with your people
Yes.
is the healthiest thing you can do for yourself because there's no explanation. You don't have to talk about it. In fact, we purposely don't talk about it. We talk about our lives and our worlds and our dreams, and we're continuing to live. And highly recommend anyone who is going through it get out of that circle with the therapist who hasn't had cancer and go find your people that are upbeat, ready to live, and happy. Because there's so many wonderful things out there for those of us who are taking this journey. And I suggest you find that because It's very frustrating in this day and time. I have had infusion nurses plug me in, and we all know what happens after you get plugged in and what's coming, and ask me what I was doing that night, if I had any plans. And I think, really?
Hello?
Yeah,
Why don't you sit down and pop some of this stuff in your body too and tell me how you're gonna feel tonight about having any plans?
yeah. And then they get volunteers to come in
Oh,
and walk around and ask if you want a snack.
are you nuts?
I wish I was. It's a true
Oh my
story.
gosh, Tami, seriously, the lack of sensitivity that can happen in
Yeah,
caregiving is
yes.
really
Now,
something.
I that's not every single nurse.
Of
That's not
course
every
not.
single volunteer. But I tell you, for some reason, they're like a magnet to me.
Man,
Are you going to a parade this weekend? Yeah. Yeah, that's what
yeah,
I'm gonna do with no immune system and
yeah.
my barf bag.
My gosh. And like it's like get on YouTube, folks. You know, you want to or TikTok. There's plenty of videos of what it's like after an infusion. What it's like. And
Exactly.
but speaking of your immune system, I really see that you honor your immune system and you know that you have to be careful when you go out in public. So I'm imagining the times that we see you, like I did at Podfest, yay!
Yay.
Also, you were just here in my hometown for a big celebration with the Sisterhood, where you
Yep,
hugged over 700 people. You know,
yep.
you still have to say, okay, that is an event I'm willing to get an
Oh,
immune
yes,
system challenging moment with.
definitely, yes. I pick my events very carefully, and I think that's why I don't really get that sick because I'm doing things I love, and, if you're doing things you love, you have a strength inside chemically,
Yeah.
emotionally, that carry you through and make everything okay. And my glass isn't half full, my glass is almost spilling over the top all the time. Unless it was the yummy drinks at the Boston Park Plaza, of which I consumed many.
So
But
good.
you can't stop living. And I think that one of the things that you and I have discussed before is the energy that you get in your 60s.
Right?
I guess when I was growing up, my grandparents that were in their 60s, they look 60.
In the
And
sense that they look like they were tired,
they
done.
look tired. Yes. And I've vowed never to admit that. I'm never
But we have
tired.
Yeah, but we have what Judith Kernick on episode 11, folks, reminded us, which was so, so important. As you age, you have an energy portfolio. So, like your investment portfolio, you have what you have for energy in your portfolio. And so you manage and navigate life knowing that. And so you have better boundaries of where you're going to disperse your energy and allocate your energy because you
Yes.
know that the body, again, our minds can overcome our body challenges and we can work through times when we might be even more tired. But you're absolutely right. There is energy to be tapped into, provided that is your state of mind, where you want
Yes.
to be uplifting for yourself and others, and know that you can shatter those age related expectations and stereotypes that we grew up with
Oh,
because we are more vibrant and alive today. Yes, Tammy?
we've learned it. The best part about aging is what you're learning every single day, and how, I have the patience of a gnat, and that's always been a problem in my life because I'm always like, oh, get over it, move on, blah, 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 blah. And I have found that those that stay stuck in the past are the ones that basically don't have that energy anymore. They're too busy reliving, how they say, oh, well, he peaked in high school. I'm pretty sure I haven't peaked yet. And every day is another opportunity to find something new. And I was very lucky. I was raised by young parents, not in age, but in mind. And I
Nice.
remember my dad was approaching 80, and I had my own business. I was really, really busy, and he needed a little bit better dietary needs. And so, where I lived had this wonderful senior center that provided hot lunches for very affordable costs. And I said, Dad, what I want you to do is, why don't you 2 or 3 days out of the week go down to the senior center and have a hot lunch with them? We had been together and enjoyed it, and I knew he would. And he says, I'm not going to go eat with a bunch of old people. And I was like, Dad, you are old people. And he's like, nah, nope, nope. And anyone who knows me, who knew my dad, that is the truth. That man never stopped. He never slowed down. He was on fire
Mm,
up until his very last breath. And that's what I hope he has instilled. That's the DNA I
that's
hope I
it.
have,
Oh, me too.
because
I remember my dad at his 60th birthday turning to me and saying, 60 is very young. And then I was looking through some photos, cleaning out some photos over the weekend, Tammy, and I came across a picture of him at the age of 80, still marching in the American Legion band and
I love,
playing his trombone. So not only marching in those parades, it's hot, it's
yeah,
sticky, it's all the things, and he's blowing air into a trombone. And I thought, dang. And so
very good
having those,
lesson for us.
it really is. And I always look at my role model as Iris Appel. I feel like I'm going to come into my own in my 70s because she didn't even get known until she was in her early 80s, for crying out
I
loud.
love it. I
And
love,
so I'm inspired by that. And I know you are too. There's
yeah,
great representation to remind us that, again, as you said earlier, it's not over until it's over. Even if you're getting chemo as often and frequently as you are, Tami, listeners, come on, listen to Tami and how she's going out and about in life. It is not just part of who she is. Of course, that we are flotation devices, Tami and I. We'll just be honest about that and who we are, but also it is a choice and that level of hard work to make sure you surround yourself with people who are going to uplift you,
yes.
like the bionic babes that you
and
get together with.
and the DCC.
Yes. And I want
But
links to those, Tami, so I can have them in the show notes.
definitely, definitely. And I also think you have to try. It'd be very easy to say, oh, well, I had chemo. I'm going to lay down and do nothing. I give myself, my chemos are on Friday. I give myself until Sunday afternoon because I mean, there is poison flowing through
Yes.
me. I,
It's
I
for
should
real.
rest a little bit. But then I get up. There's times I don't want to get up. I want to lay there. I don't feel good, but
Right.
I've always felt better after I got up.
Right.
Move around, go outside, do take a shower, do your hair, just put on clean jammies and clean sheets on the bed and find a funny movie. You can do some things yourself. You don't always have to have somebody else doing it for you. And you'll find that you can dig down deep and just discover things about yourself you never thought possible.
Right.
The
Norm,
best
yeah,
compliment I get, you don't look like you have cancer.
I'm guilty.
Well, I'm not
I thought
I
I
do know
thought
what
that
that
too,
looks like.
Tammy.
I know what it looks like, and I did look like that. I remember, well, as some of you may know, my stint with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders was centered completely around my hair. I was known as the pigtail girl. Every game, every appearance, everything I did, my hair was up in pigtails, and I call it Tammy Two Fists on Head as my Indian name because people would come up to me in the stores and point and go, "Aren't you?" And
And Tammy just put both of her hands on
yeah,
her fists on her head
Two
and
Fists
showed the
on
hair
Head.
for listeners, yeah.
And the thing is that the first round of chemo, all my hair fell out. I was completely bald. And it was so ironic that I'm known for my hair, mainly my hair. I'm the girl with the hair. And I had no hair. And I tried the wigs, I tried the scarves, didn't work. I'm in the swamplands of the Gulf of Mexico, and it's hot and it's humid, and it didn't work, and I looked silly. So I walked around bald for a year, and it was freeing because I'm not going to worry. I'm People made me my hair, but I'm not my hair.
Right.
I like to think now, as I look back, maybe I made the hair.
Well, you are a Leo, and let's just be honest, Leos are all about their manes.
We are, we are. But
And
I
and I wanna say I wanna say, Tammy, I always think of Reba McEntire because cute as a button is where that came from with you and your pigtails cheerleading the
yeah,
Dallas Cowboys. Just so,
she,
so
it's just, again, things are going to be thrown at you. And again, two choices. You can go over here or you can go over here. This one's going to take you up. This one's going to take you down. And apparently my head is very nice and not scarred up. So that's good. And it was very shiny. And I'm telling you, after a year of that, having to have hair again and you can't get ready with just a washcloth on your head, that was time consuming. I'm back into time consuming. So,
it's amazing. A friend of mine during COVID, same thing with breast cancer, and she did a wonderful TikTok, all the things that she misses with from having being going through chemo, and one of them was getting out of the shower and,
yep,
having to do her hair and all of
yep,
that. But
yep,
Tammy, too, it's what's so important, you brought this up too, of course, you have chosen to let it go, let those attachments go, and to see, as Napoleon Hill says, within every adversity, a moment of adversity, there is a seed of golden opportunity. And you've chosen that golden opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to be even more focused on the fact that I'm not my hair. Or I would have had people holding my hand through all of this, but it's not there. So I'm going to hold the divine's hand because I'm never alone because I
never.
walk with spirit with me.
I do. I
And
believe,
so
I believe wholeheartedly that there is there is a power and a love that carries us, whatever you believe in. The power and the love that you feel is real, and you need to hold on to it and grasp it and never let it go, because as soon as you do, you'll get hopeless. And oh, we all go down the hole. We all have that happen. And it's just a matter of, is this where I want to sit? I don't want to sit down here. I'm not happy. And find whatever makes you get up and go. And
and use a buddy system if you can,
oh,
right? And
definitely,
tell people,
definitely.
look, that Sunday I may not be able to get out of bed. Can you come on over and get the pom poms out and cheer me out of bed?
Oh, I'm kind of one of those people that when I'm sick, it's like, leave me alone. Don't don't come over. Don't come over.
Now, listeners, but those who are tuning in video, I love me some pom poms, right?
Oh,
So
look at what she's got. She's got our
I
blue and silver.
there we go. I love
I
pulling
got
out the pom poms.
I got mine here too.
And sometimes that's what we need. And sometimes we need to put on the silly wigs to make ourselves laugh and find the humor. We are humans walking a human path, right? And it's so we understand the fragility and we understand that this is hard. And once you understand that it's hard, and you accept it and embrace it, then you can find out ways to lighten it up a little, make it easier, more palatable. But trying to think that, oh, I'm supposed to always be happy or I'm always supposed to be up, or accepting that defeat. And look, cancer will challenge you on every level. Anything that's awful and life threatening will challenge you on every level. And you do not know the outcome, but what you do have is the present day. And I think, Tami, that's what you're speaking to, is that level of healthy positivity that keeps you embracing the day and saying, wow, I've got another day to share my glow with the world. And my glow is meaningful to me and to others.
Well, the reason I started my first podcast, Cancer, the Emotional Mountain, was after first round of chemo that had lasted 9 months and then was told that it was ineffective completely. And so I thought, well, maybe I need some help with this. So I reached out, and the Cancer Center provided me with a therapist. And after 3 sessions with the therapist, I thought, there's a hole here in this healthcare system. Until you are walking the journey, you really shouldn't be talking to other people, because his suggestions were so ludicrous and so unhelpful to the point of, I'm sorry, I've given you 3 chances. I
Right.
won't be coming back.
Yeah. See you. Bye. You're fired.
I gotta go. But you keep suggesting to cancer patients that they go to that car show out in a parking lot this weekend and walk around the beautiful cars, because that's going to make them feel better.
No.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So that's what my podcast is about. How, and one of my other pet peeves is the t-shirts that all the healthcare providers wear that say no one fights alone. Yeah, you do. Yes,
That
you
talk
do, folks.
talk some more about that, Tami.
Yes, you do fight alone. No one but you is having these feelings. No one but you is not only scared for your own life, but for those that you don't want to leave behind and that you worry about. These are burdens we bring on ourselves and cannot fathom how we're going to climb that mountain. And you will have days where you climb easily, easily, easily. And then one little thing, one PET scan, one pain somewhere else. You don't have headaches. You have brain tumors. You don't have bruised bone. You have bone cancer. You are the only one that is processing that like that.
Right.
And you are the only one that can help somebody else who's going through it. So take all of that and admit that it's happening. Admit it. I don't have control. What do I have control over? I have control over getting out of bed.
Yeah.
I have control over showing my best side. I'm not going to pretend, and I'm not going to fake it. I am truly going to feel these things inside, whether it's meditation, whether it's your religion, whether it's a show you watch, whether it's a book you read. You have that control, and no one can take it away from you. And yes, we are doing it alone. We have support. We have wonderful friends, wonderful family, wonderful health care. But you are doing this alone. And so you might want to tell those people that, yeah, don't wear that t-shirt around me, okay?
Yeah. Again, setting the
Really
boundaries.
making me mad.
You don't
So
want to
be
make a
honest.
Leo goddess mad. And
Yeah.
folks, I'll have the links to Tami's wonderful podcast. I'm called I'm Please forgive me for laughing, folks. I didn't mean to be rude that way.
Oh, no,
I
no.
it's just that I remember Tami getting up and talking about it at Podfest, and she was just so enlivened. That's what I was recalling in my brain was that moment. And so delicious
Oh,
while
and
she's
that was another moment in my life where I had to, like, my slideshow
Right.
started before they got me on stage, and they wouldn't stop, and it's like, "Okay, ba-da-da-da-da,"
'Cause you had
and
how many
then
minutes, right?
yeah, it was 3 minutes, and then I, silly me, decided, "Sure, I'll do that comedy stand-up open mic night." Oh my god. I mean, I agreed to that. I am not a stand-up comedian. I've never been a stand-up comedian. I had 2 things that I thought I'd start with, and I got up on that stage, and in 10 seconds, they were done, and I still had 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go.
Like, you're not being stretched enough in life. Let me go and do a stand-up comedic routine
Let
with
me
a bunch of
let
in
me
front of a
just
bunch
go
of
be a
people.
stand-up comedian for a night in front of 200 people. But I had
Anyway,
a blast.
ah,
I had a blast, and that's the other thing y'all need to do. And then you don't have to have cancer to do it. Say yes. Go do it. Put yourself out there. And if it's awful and you fall, that it's
it
okay.
happens. So I'm gonna have Tammy's wonderful podcast, Cancer, The Emotional
Mhm.
Mountain. I'm going to have the links in the show notes so you can tune in Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. Remember, you can always ask Alexa to play an episode, right?
Oh, I know. I love doing that. And I feel like, oh, there I am. I love talking to her.
Oh, and once Alexa knows that you are, and I'm spelling it out, obviously, folks,
Yes,
because mine's right here, and I'm sure
so's
Tammy's is
mine.
right there. But once you do, Amazon Music knows that you listen to that podcast, it will tell you, "Hey, Ande," that's what she calls me. "There's a new episode of Cancer: The Emotional Mountain. Do you wanna play it now?" And you can go,
Right.
"Yes," or "Remind me tomorrow," or whatever. It's wonderful. But again, the topics that you're going through from the first episode of "What did the doctor just say?" Right, to, stress and depression, mind over matter, to perspectives on cancer, to eat well, get well soon. Oh, shut up. Boy, I can't wait
Oh,
to listen to that one, right? Oh yeah, if you just become a macrobiotic diet person, right? Or vegan, it's
right.
going to cure your
Right. Oh,
cancer.
everybody's got a suggestion for you. Everybody. And that's fine. You know, I listen. I don't know it all. I can always find something. But here's the magical thing, find one food. A dear, dear friend of mine who's a cancer survivor said, find one thing you can eat that tastes semi like it should, and let that be your go to at all times. Mine is Five Guys fries.
There we go.
And
The Five Guys hamburger people, right?
right. I but I have to eat them in my truck immediately. They can't
Yeah.
come home. And for the first 2 years of my treatment, I couldn't go inside. So I just that's me. Five Guys fries in my truck, eating my fries. Hey everybody, I've eaten. Back off.
Hey, and no, not cancer, but I was pregnant for 7 years and had a loss in each trimester until I had the 2 outcomes. But what happens to me when I'm pregnant is I am horribly, horribly sick. And having
Oh.
that one food, of course, mine had to be the high fat food, was very, very helpful. But another side story I want to share with you, Tammy, is that for 5 years, I had a food manufacturing business called Goddess Granola. And
Ah,
our Dana-Farber Cancer Institute here in Boston would order the granola in the snack size because not only was it high in nutrition and carbs and things, the cancer patients getting chemo that day, they handed it out to them for free. And
oh,
where the
that's
infusions were happening
amazing.
because the common response was, this is one of the only things I can eat. It
I love
tastes
that.
so good. And
Yes,
so it's find your food. What a great, great tip because it really can be the thing that balances out the experience and helps.
it it
Oh,
does. And caregivers, don't worry if they're not eating. They'll
okay.
find it. They'll find it.
All right.
Yes.
That's a good thing to remember. And
Yeah, care
caregive. Oh, go ahead, Tammy.
I was going to say caregiving is the hardest job. I have done both. I've been a caregiver and I've been a patient. It's a whole lot easier to be a patient, I promise you. So, caregivers, give yourself a break. You are there to listen, take notes, support, and hold a hand. And the rest, we leave up to the doctors and we leave up to the patient. Don't take away their lives. They're still here.
Absolutely. And I want to remind everyone we had an outstanding guest in the Don't Be Caged by Your Age, episode 18, How to Protect Your Quality of Life While Caregiving, with
Oh,
the
so
one
important.
with the wonderful Deborah Greenhut. She actually has a handout you can download. She has all well, she spills the tea, as we say today, on everything you need to help be a caregiver.
Oh,
That
you got to hook me up with her because she's got to
yes.
be on my podcast because, oh my gosh, the caregivers, I just watch them just wilt. And it's,
She'll tell you they often die before the person they're
they
taking care of.
do. I've
Yeah.
seen that as well.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
so
I'll connect you with
scary.
Deborah. Her advice, I still get goosebumps over. It was so wonderful. And that was because she'd been through it 3 times and she realized that yeah, many people were not doing it in a way that was going to help them or the patient because 9 out of 10 times it's an act of love, right?
It
And
is.
you'd give your lung, your right arm for that
Yeah.
person. But at
And
the end of the day,
they're panicked too.
yes. And what
Everybody's scared in a different way.
what we really took away from that conversation, Tammy, were the resources that you can find that many of us don't even know about to
Ah,
help come in
wonderful.
and help get you through that. So I will connect you with Deborah.
Oh,
This has
please, let's
been
spread the word for the caregivers. Yay, caregivers!
caregivers, pom poms, and clappers for the caregivers, right?
Yay,
Absolutely.
caregivers!
So, what is fueling? Well, we have a great idea of what's fueling your passion today, which is staying healthy, staying strong, staying connected, bringing your glow to the world. Is there anything else that you are doing that just lights you up and fuels you to keep
Well,
going?
of course, a Leo never rests. And being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader alumni member, I have, and also a national football alumni member, I have started my second podcast, which is called Sideline Legends. And it's the stories of all of us, men and women, who have stood on the sidelines of the NFL, cheered their team on, cried when they lost. I've been to 2 Super Bowls. And this past week in Boston, with all of those people, just the stories I heard that are going to be coming out on my podcast are incredible. And it's so rare that you get to hear their voice
Right.
because the media loves to put words in our mouth, make up stories about us. Oh, I'm pretty sure I don't have any children, but I'm pretty sure I've been pregnant like 30 times. According to junior high, high school, college, people I've
Right.
worked with, you know, you stick yourself out there
People are
and
going to talk about you.
people are gonna talk, and people love to pick on you. And here's what I want you all to hear when you're listening to the Sideline Legends, men and women. We're stronger than you think. Good luck with that.
Absolutely. And congratulations, because you launched in February with this podcast. And launching a podcast, folks, it takes time, it takes energy, all of that. And you're pacing yourself in a beautiful way. But you're
Oh,
talking,
thanks.
pardon me?
I said thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, yeah, no, it's just wonderful, and I'm so excited, and of course, I love the thumbnail for Sideline Legends, former Dallas Cowboys cheerleader Tami Barber, sharing wonderful stories with folks who are coming on and bringing the real story in their
Yes,
authentic voice, so and because you
yes.
hold the space and play so beautifully, they feel safe to share, and you have the
Oh,
commonality
the,
as well, but you
The
make it
little
safe.
meetings I had while I was in Boston were the best. They just, oh, we're all just kind of the same cookie stamp.
Right?
We love our teams and we love our sisters and brothers. And there were 4 men out of
There we go.
700 NFL cheerleaders there. So that was, oh, it was
Oh,
magical. Your town is beautiful. The
thank you.
harbor cruise is
Oh, breathtaking.
breathtaking.
It is, and it's
Oh,
so historic. It's such a it's
oh,
a you can walk the city and see so much history,
you can
such
do
as
the hop on, hop off tour
right?
bus. And of
It's
course, where did you find me the first night in town? At Cheers.
cheers.
I was
I
at
saw
Cheers.
that.
I don't even think I was unpacked, and I was at Cheers. No,
So much
Boston
fun,
was fabulous. The combination of history and modern buildings,
right?
all tucked in perfectly with each other. And yes, this was my first opportunity to really get to see Boston and walk
Oh,
around Boston. And your weather is
well,
fabulous.
you were here for a good good weather time, so
Well,
that makes it
yeah,
easier.
I mean, we're spiraling towards the sun
So, well, I am
constantly.
so grateful that you came on the podcast to share your wonderful story. And listeners, go check out this one sidebar comment I'm going to make right now, which is Tami was on the Love Boat. I can't not talk about that, Tami, because come
But you know what's funny is a lot of people walking around today are like, "What's the Love Boat?"
I know it.
They're
That's
like,
what I mean. But
"Oh
listeners here are going to remember the Love Boat. And
no, the
so
Love Boat."
Google Tami Barber Love
Yeah.
Boat. You'll see her on there with her pigtails, her two fist hair.
And Andy, thank you. I was so excited when you reached out and wanted to have me
Oh,
on because, like I said, you and I just floated together and came to the top last January. And I can't wait to see you this coming
I know. I
January.
can't wait. I'm going to go buy my ticket right away, too. They're just, I think they're going on sale early bird. What, any last pieces of advice, some more Tami gems for aging well with folks to
Aging
help them
well.
so that they don't stay caged by their age, that they go, okay, I know the clock struck midnight on a milestone age, but that doesn't mean I have to stop. Any last words of wisdom for folks before we wrap up?
Celebrate each year that you have. Celebrate each win and each loss because you're here. And there's nothing better than aging and getting wiser. And we are. You're going to get wiser. Look next to you at work at a 20-year-old that can't get off their phone. We're wise.
Absolutely. Oh, Tami, thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful that you're here. And listeners, I know you've been inspired by this delicious conversation with Tami. And I think the ideal reminder that you have so much to give, even if you're going through an
Oh,
abundance of consistent
yes.
chemotherapy year after year. Tami is here to show you that you can still find meaning and purpose and a reason to get out of bed and share your glow. So do not let those internalized ageist beliefs prevent you from pursuing new dreams, new opportunities, no matter where you are and what you're going through. So until next time, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Thank you, Tami Barber. Mwah,
Thank you,
everybody.
Andy. Go get up and go see a sunrise.
Yay, I love that advice. See you later, everyone. Cheers from Boston.
Bye-bye.
Listeners, I'm so grateful you carved out time to tune in and grab the gems from this delicious conversation. Be sure to hop on over to Don't Be Caged by Your Age on LinkedIn or Instagram to share your thoughts about ageism and unretirement. Because in this space, your age doesn't define you, it refines you. If you are inspired by a story you hear, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, share, rate, and review the podcast. To receive an alert whenever a new show is posted, please join the Don't Be Caged by Your Age newsletter. Every month, you'll receive links to the podcast and helpful resources for creating possibilities for your unretirement days. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited to hear how you found ways to thrive after 65. Waving from Boston, cheers.